Here we go. We've got a man with a lovely hairnet here, and his name is Richard, and I believe he's the man. Did you set up this company?
We did, yeah. My mother and I set it up.
Oh, your mother and you?
Yeah, in 2006 we first started, and we had no dairy experience. We thought we'd start making some cheese. Yeah. And we approached Michael Reed and his family here on Queen Dairy about using their milk to make our cheeses. And the first question he asked me was, where do you want to make the cheese? We didn't know where we were going to do it, so he offered to give us the little facility in here that you see us in. And we started off, what was it now, 11 years ago doing that. Taking his milk, the whole idea was that we would take as much of the surplus that we could, because he has a little milk round that he does really well with around here, Queen Bow, Winford area. But obviously the tanker was coming and picking up the rest of the milk and taking away, and obviously not paying very much for it. So the idea was that we would come in, we would buy as much of that surplus as we could, paying a really good price for it, and hope that in return for a good price we'd get a really good quality milk, which was fresh, fresher than a tanker would supply us with, and that we were able to have a really close relationship with the actual supplier.
Because what you're doing is you're taking a local product and turning it into another local product, and it's totally, well, I haven't seen, it's about 100 yards from the cows or something, isn't it? It's just, so you started with no experience with cheese making. When you first started, was it a bit of a kind of trial and error, or did you crack it first of all?
No, absolutely. You go on a couple of courses, you speak to other cheesemakers, but effectively, you throw yourself in at the deep end and you learn from your mistakes, and you discover quite quickly what works, what doesn't. You speak to your customers, you find out what they like, what they don't like, and then sort of build it up from there. And in the very beginning, you're just making very, very small batches and selling locally, and by that I mean, off the farm, the farm gate sort of thing. Yeah. And then progressively, a few more shops getting interested. And the way that I always tried to sort of run it in the beginning was not to push it too hard. I didn't want to kind of go on like a mass advertising campaign or try and drive sales really hard, because in the beginning I didn't really have that much cheese to sell. I didn't want to overproduce, because when you begin to overproduce, you're in danger of sort of ruining the very things that made you special in the first place, I think.
So you started in 2006 and we're in 2017 now. In that 11 years you've kind of progressed and you've made a range of cheeses. Do you make more than one type of cheese, or is it a special one that you stick with, or what?
We started off making two straight away. So we did the Isle of Wight Blue, which is a soft natural rinded blue cheese, blue veins, and then there's a white rinded version of the similar cheese, Isle of Wight Soft, which is a similar recipe, similar cultures but different mould. So it has a white mould compared to the Isle of Wight Blue, which is a blue mould. But the Isle of Wight Blue has it has what we call a natural rind, so pretty much anything goes on that rind. So you'll get not just the blue mould will grow, you'll also get the white mould from the Isle of Wight Soft will come over, and then also you'll have anything that's in the milk or anything that's in the atmosphere at the time. So throughout the year, the actual rind can change.
Really?
Vary, yeah.
Right.
And when we wrap the cheeses, the blue cheeses, it's quite a dry, powdery, blue, green, white mould on it. But after it's been wrapped and it's inside the paper doesn't allow any of the moisture to escape, so that moisture stays inside, which is good for the soft cheese. But what it does is it kind of can send the rind a little bit darker. So it actually, I think, makes it look even more...
it'd be interesting to see that.
Yeah, it makes it look more characterful. Yeah. Some people get a little bit freaked out, admittedly. They'll sort of look at it and think, wow, this is like really mouldy and it's got like a dark mould rind on it, what have you. But I think sometimes some customers are perhaps not used to seeing that sort of thing. I think if you buy like a lump of cheddar from a supermarket or a Stilton or something like that, often you don't see the rind.
No, very sterile, isn't it?
Yeah, whereas actually in like a farmhouse environment, if you Somerset, where you see all like the farmhouse cheddars and one thing and another, and all those territorial British cheeses with the really characteristic, distinctive rinds, lots of mould. The Stiltons as well have got all of that going on. But people were aware that's exactly how that they look. They perhaps wouldn't be so freaked out by the rind on a natural blue cheese.
Brilliant. So we're going to see some cheese, or you're halfway through making some cheese. What are we going to see now then?
Yeah, so earlier you saw the cows and you saw the milk. Yeah. Here we've got the milk from yesterday, which has been acidified this morning, and then we've added the rennet to it, so it's actually, it's actually in its curd form at the minute. It's been sat there for an hour or so, and I'm just at the stage now where I'm about to take it out and put it into the mould.
Fantastic. Let's not hold you up. So I'm just walking in now, and this is it. Look at it. I presume these are all the moulds. This is incredible. It's all like it's like a science lab. It's all very stainless steel, sterile. What have we got here then? This looks like vats of yogurt.
These are the
no, I know.
Vats of the Isle of Wight blue cheese.
Right.
What you can see on the top here, this is the whey.
Oh, okay.
And underneath,
the curds are underneath. Are they? Oh, I see. So have you chopped those up before? Because they form a big crust normally, don't they?
Yeah, you get like it's like a blancmange. It's like a cold custard with the skin on the top is what you end up with after you've added the rennet, and you cut that into cubes. The size of the cubes is dependent on what type of cheese you're making. You know, the wetter the cheese, you want to make bigger cubes. So I've got some cheese knives on the wall that I use to cut these bites with. And yeah, after an hour or so, where we're at now, we've seen like a lot of the whey is separated, and we've got the curd resting on the bottom. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a lot of this whey off, and then I'm going to move the curd from the vat into the moulds, and then begin to stack them up, and then from there we'll then move them into the.
So the whey today. Is that wasted these days? Because it used to be like curds and whey, and the whey used to go to pigs and things like that, but I don't suppose you do that these days.
It's a really good question because it's really nutritious, the whey,
yeah.
And you can do lots of things with it. Like in Parma, obviously they feed the pigs there with the whey, and that's why the Parma ham is so distinctive. Right. And they're making Parmesan cheese there, you see. And yeah, there's lots of different things you can do with it. Sadly for us, I mean, we don't have like the capability to capture it, and so for us it just goes into the slurry and then gets put back on the fields.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a sustainable recycling, isn't it?
Yeah, at least there's something good.
It's gone full circle. It's gone from the cows back to the cheese, back on the land. I love that. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's what we do with it. But yeah, who knows? Maybe in the future we'll maybe think a little bit harder about what we can actually do with it, because there are things you can do with it.
Right, I won't hold you up. Let's see how we do. So what are you doing here then?
So I'm just going to take the whey off the...
oh, so you're sort of siphoning out the whey. Right, all high tech. Oh, so you get a mouthful of that. That's not the best thing, is it? Wow.
I just drink it. It's still like...
Yeah. Is that quite salty?
No.
No, you haven't put the salt in it yet, have you?
Right, it's not salty,
so we have the whey draining away. So that's going back out on the fields. So how much cheese do you make a week?
Well, it varies throughout the year, like depending on... Christmas is a busy time. Summer, typically with the tourists on the island, we sell quite a lot to restaurants and hotels and things. I don't know, I don't really sort of like...
hard to work out.
Probably about a ton a month, perhaps.
A ton a month? Well, that's quite a lot, isn't it? Wow, if we just see this coming up here now. What's that cheese you can buy in lumps? Is it feta or something? You quite often get it in salads and things. Almost looks like feta, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is a lot softer though at this stage.
Yeah, and it won't have any flavour really, will it?
That's right.
It will just be.
It still tastes quite similar to milk at this stage because milk has that natural sweetness to it because of the lactose.
Yeah.
At this stage, there's not that much acidity being created, so you've still got quite a lot of the sugar in here. So it still tastes quite nice.
Oh, I see. So you put it through the mould. Are these the mould?
Yeah, but at this
you're
stage,
capturing the bits that will be siphoned out.
I'm just getting the whey off.
Because you don't want to waste any, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. It's a lot of hard work cheese making, isn't it? It's not a simple 5-minute process, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of heavy lifting involved, especially with all the cleaning and one thing or another. I mean, I have got like I do clean a lot of stuff by hand, just to sort of.
So you're literally a one-man band, are you, on your own here?
I've got part-time staff that help me with the packaging, and selling, and the deliveries, and I've just taken on a part-time cheesemaker to help me to assist me like during the week. Okay. But ultimately, I'm still doing it on my own.
Right. So it is really. Ooh, God, here we go. Look at this. Wow. Wow. So that's literally scraping the mould. Wow, this is fantastic to see. I would have no idea how you did that. I thought you might scoop like ladles into a mould, but this is a lot more quicker.
Traditional camembert, they do it like that. They do. Yeah. They don't even cut the curd into cubes, so you'll be left with like a whole vat of the curd, and then they'll just ladle it out and put it into the moulds, which is a much more sort of delicate way to do it. And you obviously retain a lot more of the whey when you do it that way. But just the way that this cheese is developed over the years, I know this is the method that I actually use. So
how many gallons or how many litres of milk go into, say, a kilo of cheese?
It's usually like a 10% solid ratio for the milk. So like with a litre of milk, you're looking at 90% of that is water. So you look at 900 mils of it is...
So you're looking at, so would I be right in thinking if for a kilo of milk you need about 10 litres of milk? Sorry, a kilo of cheese about 10 litres of milk.
Exactly.
That's quite a lot of milk, isn't it?
That's why, I think one of the reasons why cheese isn't cheap.
No.
You know, when you're paying a good price for your milk, you've got to use obviously so much of it in order to make the cheese. Now you don't want to buy your milk for peanuts because you want to support the farmer who's supplying you.
Very well said there. I like that.
So because
I think this is something that's lost on the bigger producers, is in the fact that it's all about getting it as cheap as they can to increase their margin. Whereas from what I'm learning from you today, you believe in sustainable price for the farmer, and hopefully you'll get a good return for your product as well.
That's exactly right.
And then everyone, it works the synergy, doesn't it? And then the farmer doesn't go bust just because someone's trying to drive that price down.
The thing is, the principle I always worked on was that I wasn't looking to try and sell masses and masses and masses of cheese. If I wanted to do that, I'd have had to have got milk at a very, very cheap price and sold it at a cheap price. I'm more interested in taking milk at a very good price for everybody, for the farmer, because then that means that I can rely on him to give me a decent product and it be sustainable. And I only need like a few hundred customers to buy into that. I don't need, I'm not looking to sell, like I say, thousands and thousands of units. I'm just looking to sell hundreds of units, but at a good price. So when you've got that kind of ethic, like I say, you only need...
It all works then, doesn't it?
You only need a few hundred people to buy into it. You don't have to sort of like mass sell it. Because if I was trying to mass sell it, it wouldn't mass sell, not with that principle. Unfortunately, there's not enough people sort of like follow that. And also...
I know.
But then that's understandable, not everyone can afford it.
No, that's true. Right then. So how many cheeses would you hope to make out of this massive vat then? Because there's a lot of cheese curds here, isn't there?
Yeah, I'll hope to get about 300
cheeses.
200 gram cheeses out of
Right.
this.
So you're going to fill all these moulds here, are you? That is a lot of mould. Wow. I love seeing this. It's like a lava flow of curd. And it's constantly draining. So these are already draining here.
Yeah.
If we look, we can see in there, you can see how the liquid's coming. These were full at the start and they've already sunk down a little bit. And the curds are coming out of the side holes and then we're all leaking it down the drain.
Tell me about your cheese making next door.
Oh, I made cheese for Radio Bristol, and myself and a guy called Ben Prater made it. And I learned from a mistake of I didn't put enough salt in, and the cheese went rancid. And I'm sure you know exactly what you're doing with this, because basically the key ingredients of cheese are what? Let's talk us through how you start on the cheese. So you get the milk. What do you do with it when you get it?
You've got to acidify them. Well, it depends what cheese you're making. I mean, some cheeses aren't acidified, but these types of cheeses, soft cheeses, are. You acidify the milk, so you're trying to kind of. Well, first of all, you're wanting to sort of get rid of the water and capture the protein in the fat, and then the other nutrients that are inside the milk. So you add an enzyme called rennet, which does that. But for the rennet to work really well, really effectively, you have to have the acidity of the milk at the right acidity. So when it's fresh, typically your milk is just below neutral, sort of like 6.7 or something like that. And when you want to add the rennet, you want it to acidify a little bit, so you want it to maybe lift it down to about sort of 6.4. So the bacteria that's in the natural raw milk, or the bacteria that you introduce with your cultures, drives that acidity down. But over time as well, that bacteria will also create your flavour and your gases, as well as your acidity. But you add the rennet. The rennet is what bonds all the casein together and traps the fat as well, and any other sort of bits and pieces like calcium and phosphorus and all these things that are in the milk. And that's what you see here. That's the fat and the protein and everything together.
So from here, the process is what? You squeeze this, do you?
Yeah, I've got to get it into that turner, and then it's got to drain basically. So it depends what type of cheese you're making. So if you're making a hard cheese, you'll squeeze it, you'll put it into a press. If you're making a soft cheese, by definition, it needs to be softer. So you'll allow that to you'll allow the whey to drain out under its own weight.
It's almost like a cider press then, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
As you're stacking them on top. And the idea is that are you pressing that?
No, the weight of these is actually, there's no weight on top, like these trays are taking all of the weight from the one above, so no, these are just draining under their own weight. This is just a convenient way.
Oh, okay, just stacking them, yeah.
So that you save space.
So on your own, it's quite a lot of responsibility to keep this going, isn't it?
Yeah, what's important is to have cultures that don't create too much acid too quickly, because when you're on your own, you've got to allow yourself an hour or so to fill these moulds, and every time all this time that the acid is acidifying, it's going to be changing the texture of the cheese, so you can't hang around. You know?
No, I notice you're keeping, while I'm talking to you, you're busy all the time.
Yeah,
I can understand. I appreciate you letting me film you.
No, that's all right. I'm not doing after 11 years now. Just about. But,
So we've been filling up from this first vat, and Richard's over here now. You're just stirring up the curd here. What are you doing here then?
Just stirring the second one. It's the same thing here as what we're doing over there, just this one's about half an hour behind.
Right. So are you sort of breaking it? You've already broken it up into squares.
Just give it a stir. It just encourages like the whey to come out. But how much whey you want to pull out is up to you. I mean, it depends what kind of cheese you make.
Right.
You can choose to keep a lot of the whey in.
So what do you cut it up with then? Have you got a knife?
You've got those cheese knives.
Oh, these are the knives. So when that curd's solid, these are the cheese knives. They're just fine wire mesh, aren't they?
That's it.
And they just slice through that and make into cubes.
That's it. Yeah, you've got a combination of horizontals and verticals.
Yeah. And there we go.